Welcome into the CHGO Bears Podcast, another training camp recap edition. Adam Hoge, Mark Carman, Nicholas Moreano, and Gilligan's Island.
Come on now. I got the
Craig
training
Braggs.
camp attire here.
Look at this guy. He's just a beautiful human being.
Thank you.
You've really hit a next level. I've never been more jealous of
You've been rocking the bucket hat at practice.
Yeah, but I've never gone indoor bucket head, and you're willing to do it. So you did it, man.
Training camp fit, man.
I fixed my hair today. I've got a whole new look going on.
My hair's still got another month to grow, so.
Okay. That was an awesome day. So, Adam, I can't
You guys
wait.
are twinsies. Everybody's got gray over there, but especially you.
Look at that.
Only spilled a couple of drops of coffee on this thing today. I think it actually is not really
you
sure.
do get
Yeah,
a
yeah.
coffee
Oh,
right
yeah.
there.
It's
They
been
can't see it on camera.
It's been a day and a half. That was awesome today. What a fun day of training camp.
You don't sound convinced.
Well, I didn't think it was necessarily great for the team, but I was entertained.
But it was good
It
for
was
you,
entertaining.
which is
Yeah.
what matters. We're gonna recap it all. It was definitely it was a longer padded practice, so another fun one for us to consume. A yellow practice. So we had the red practice yesterday, which means hit the brakes a little bit. I thought today would have been green, but I don't necessarily know all the colors.
Breaking news, if I may. At the end of the press conference today with Matt Eberflus, Hoge asked the Flus what color was practice today after the practice was over. And Flus told you yellow. You and the Flus are on a color talking first name basis. I thought that was big.
But what's the color that he threw back at me, though, that I...
Was that turquoise? Did I hear turquoise or something? Or
Well, I think he was kidding, but it was like what's the name of that like crazy color? He said it in the press conference the other day, too, as a joke. And then he dropped it again to me today when whatever.
You and Flus are doing color jokes. I like it. I think it's good for the show.
Okay. Well, let's jump right in. By the way, hit subscribe. Join the fam. Diehards at allchgo.com/diehard. Become a diehard. We got our golf outing coming up. Cannot wait. You can sign up, get a discount if you are a CHGO diehard. And newsletter if you are a diehard as well, coming out every single day in the morning. It's in your inbox. What did I write about today? I can't even remember.
Hopefully not special teams.
I only did one special teams newsletter so far.
Okay.
No, today was impressions of the depth chart.
That's
First
correct.
impressions. Yeah. So every morning you're getting those. So make sure you hit that subscribe button here on the CHGO YouTube channel and hit the like button.
And you get discounts on upcoming live events, including some tailgates this season, which are going to be off the chain. So
Chartreuse.
chartreuse.
That is the color that Matt Eberflus was talking about.
What color is chartreuse?
Thank you, guys. You guys pay more attention than we do, and you should have our jobs.
Well, well.
That's amazing.
Hey, that's the color of my shoes.
That's
chartreuse.
Yeah, you had great shoes today. I'd like to personally apologize to Gary Ross and his father for not taking the time to say goodbye. It's been a very busy day for me. Gary's apparently...
Gary can live.
Gary's upset.
Gary...
I missed you, Gary. Know that. I missed everybody that I didn't see today.
what is happening?
Great shoe by Nick.
Chartreuse.
It's a chartreuse.
Although it appears yellow on that video right there.
It does, yeah.
But
So
it's
It's
definitely
like
more...
Darnell Mooney's cleats.
That's right.
That
Yeah,
was weird that it did that.
plates.
All right, best and worst of the day. I'll go ahead and start. Common sentiment that I've had over and over and over and over again, which I think is a really good thing, because consistently, DJ Moore continues to be the best player on the field. He is just legit. It reminds me of when Khalil Mack got here, where it's just like, oh, that's one of those things that the Bears have now. That's really good because they're different, and he continued. Like he's had some throws. Like there was one, I think it was a slant today that was like considerably behind him.
Yep.
And he just
That was an incredible catch. That was awesome.
Hands, man.
He had another nice catch along the sideline, which my guy Jason McKee pointed out probably would not have been a catch in a game because the corner would have lit him up. But he still made a nice catch. It was still a nice catch for practice purposes. Good adjustment to the ball. So DJ Moore continues to dominate, and I just think it's such a huge upgrade, and it's going to help Justin Fields so much. We'll get a little bit more into the Justin Fields conversation here in a little bit, but he's still far from perfect. But DJ Moore, when he throws that direction, 1 to 2,
It's perfect.
DJ Moore is helping him out a lot.
Your worst?
My worst was, did you? Okay, so I picked a worst that I cannot really go into detail with because it's like you cannot describe specific plays. Those are the rules that we have to agree to be able to watch practice as close as we can. But they were in a 2-minute situation late, and it was basically last play of the game, got to have a touchdown situation. And all I'll say was it was a throw short of the end zone instead of in the end zone, and they were in the red zone at that point. And I can't really go into more details about the play, but my conclusion was like, I almost wanted to say to Luke Getz, he was about 15 feet away. I was like, hey, maybe I want to delete that one out of the playbook.
I didn't know what they were trying to do there. It seemed like they were maybe trying to work on a situation where if they did get short of the goal line, they would, figure out a way to get there. But it didn't look like that was the answer. But I wasn't exactly sure what was happening. But I think, I had the same reaction, Hoge.
You might be right. Like,
that's what it seemed like.
If it is oddly a shorter throw, what do you do?
Like if you can't.
But how about you just throw it to the end zone?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to
Right.
me.
But I mean, they were walking off and communicating about it, so they were definitely trying to do something. It just didn't really work. Actually, it didn't work. It's what I'm trying to. Yeah. All right. My best from today. I thought the run game was awesome today, and I think if you're looking, like I said, I keep talking to myself during practice and watching the Bears as we get ready for the season. What are the Bears good at? What can you hang your hat on? And to be honest, I'm not exactly sure quite yet, but I think there's a very good chance that it will turn out to be the run game. Treston Ebner broke one today. I think Khalil Herbert looked great. I'm including in the run game short passes where Herbert and Fields connected a bunch today to move the ball, and certainly in the 2-minute. I thought all of that looked pretty damn good today. It was more physical too, which I enjoyed. It was just fun to watch that. My worst was, and maybe it's the best. I don't know. But
Maybe your worst is the best.
I mean, if you want to say that Chase Claypool is trying to rise up Tyreek Stevenson and ride him all practice to try to get him to a level where he can actually handle being screamed at on game day, if that's his motivation, well, then maybe he's being a great teammate. But if that's not what's going on, he just wants to bang on the rook all day long and not let it go literally an hour after it happened, then that would fall under the worst for me because they had a play where one-on-one and Chase got physical with him, which is totally cool. Stevenson went down, and Stevenson didn't like it to Claypool, didn't like it elsewhere, and Claypool was like basically told him to shut up. Stop talking, and it was calling him rook over and over again, which I like. He is a rook, and maybe Chase is trying to lift him up, but it was off-putting. I'll say that.
So let's circle back to that because I want to have a deeper conversation. Yeah. I'm not surprised at all that is one of our worst today, and I do want to come back to that conversation about when trash talk is productive and then when it becomes counterproductive when it crosses a line. Nick, go ahead. Your best and worst.
Yeah, my best is probably a player that a lot of Bears fans haven't heard about, but Mekhi Baskerville, the linebacker.
Yeah, I heard of him today.
Yes, he had himself a day, you guys. 2 interceptions. One was a pick six.
Never heard of him until this moment.
There you go.
Didn't notice him on the field at all.
Bear or not a bear.
47. Watch out for him in this preseason game, you guys. This is where you're going to hopefully hear a lot more of him and what he's capable of doing. But he showed up a lot today in practice and got some big-time plays with those turnovers. My worst, though, today was just all the false starts that we saw, and you saw it from Darnell Wright, Braxton Jones. You saw it another time in the first-team offense, but it happened throughout the entirety of this practice, and Matt Eberflus did mention it, in his post-practice press conference that they're still working on utilizing all these cadences and how to, just be in sync with the offense, and they're working through that, but there's just a little bit too much false starts for me, so that's my worst for today.
No,
good I'm gonna reverse it and start with my worst and finish with my best because my best is a good one.
Illegal.
It's
illegal.
It's the
illegal
brag
formation.
He made it very clear who was running the show when he walked in
That's
here.
you're damn right.
13 minutes before it started.
My worst is right along with you as the sloppiness on offense, the false starts, and then off the false starts, the drops. There was a lot of drops today. Velus Jones had a drop, and the DBs were chirping at Velus about it. The running backs had a few drops. Khalil Herbert had one right in his hands. 7-on-7s, 1-on-1s, doesn't matter what session it was. It seemed to be a drop every series. not helping your quarterback out. And then there was a couple times where I felt like the wide receivers weren't tracking the ball on a deep ball, trying to get that connection. And maybe I thought the placement was there and the wide receiver's not getting his head turned around to find where the ball is at. So while the quarterback certainly needs to, keep improving and building chemistry with guys, the wide receivers got to help him out too. So that's my worst. My best is off the field. The best thing I have seen at training camp in a long time, maybe ever, was by Noah Sewell while he was signing autographs with fans. And it honestly puts chills down my back just thinking about it, because this guy took his time with a family that has, needs sign language to communicate. And he took his time, 5 minutes with this family, to learn a sentence in sign language to communicate with these people. And to watch him do that, we can talk about football all day. We're going to get to preseason games and the regular season games. To watch a young man in Noah Sewell do that, honestly, I gained a lot of respect for me. He's got a fan for life in me. I don't care where he plays. Hopefully he stays here forever. But this dude, to do that in that moment and take his time, showed a lot of maturity, and he's got the utmost respect for me. And I know every person that was standing around watching that, he gained a fan in every single person, including that family. So shout out to Noah Sewell.
That's really cool.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Noah Sewell's having a pretty good camp, too.
He had a good day today.
He's been great since after that first week. He's settling in.
He's listed as the backup Mike with Tremaine Edmonds out. He's been playing with Jack Sanborn missing time. He's been playing. I mean, he is in that linebacker rotation. And for a guy that really did not have a great last year at Oregon and was kind of moved around, used in different ways, I think the more I watch him in this system, I think he fits what these Bears linebackers, we saw what they did with them. Like, they don't mind blitzing these guys. They don't mind. And so he's got some pass rush ability too. If he shows that he can just play the scheme and then they can blitz him, I think it's interesting. I like the depth the Bears have at linebacker right now, because I feel like they have 4 starters.
Well, today and basically every day, that dude is physical. I mean, he hits hard. He is flying around out there.
Well, look, that's a situation where the pedigree matters. And that's Sewell family. That's a football family, and they don't mess around. And, they're just a tough physical football family, and he's a part of it.
Yeah, and Eberflus was asked about him today, getting the reps, and the thing that he kept saying 1, 2, 3 times, instinctive. And that's why we're seeing Noah Sewell. He's always around the football, and especially in today's practice. I had him jotted down in my notes a bunch of times. So he keeps making plays, and obviously Jack Sanborn is still kind of working back from the injury, but we talked about it. That's a competition, and we're going to see Noah Sewell push, Jack Sanborn. He'll probably do the same, but he's always around the football. It's good to see.
You made the mention about his family, and his dad, Gabriel Sewell Sr., people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Maya Angelou, and he was referencing that off of the report I made on Twitter, and he's absolutely right. So he did a great job raising his son, and he's got a lot to be proud of. And just, from a fan's perspective, to watch somebody take their time like that, that's the kind of stuff that is going to ingratiate you with a fan base in a big, big way. So shout out.
Like you bringing that into the show, Bragsy, that's a good behind-the-scenes situation that's awesome for everybody to hear about.
That's why Braggs is here. We're all in press conferences. Braggs is out there with the people.
Braggs in the stands, man.
Let's go.
Nobody's building a brand better than Braggs in the stands. I will say also, as far as late round picks going today and hitting hard, Noah Sewell, Roshan Johnson from the running back spot cracked about 3 people coming through. That was violent.
However, he did have a drop that led to one of those Baskerville interceptions.
Oh, in the back of the end zone?
No, he was in the middle of the field.
Okay, there was a pick in the back of the end zone too off a bobble. That was late in the practice.
I couldn't see from who exactly that was. Well, maybe I have it in my notes somehow.
Doesn't matter.
Well, he had one of the ones in the end zone too. I think that might have been the other one that he had. But anyway, I want to get into more of this Claypool discussion because it was sort of an odd practice, I would just say. So it's one-on-ones, and he's being physical with Tyreek Stevenson. We're definitely at the part of training camp where guys have been going up against each other a lot. They start to get sick of each other. It's completely normal. But this was like a little extra, just the way I saw it, and I was watching the rep, was it was a completely normal jam by Tyreek Stevenson. And Claypool just basically grabbed him and threw him to the ground, essentially, like in the moment. It wasn't after the whistle or anything. It was just like, it was definitely offensive pass interference, and a flag was thrown. And so then Claypool's running down the field wide open, and he doesn't catch the ball. And
wasn't a great throw, but he went off his hands. Should have caught it. Should have caught it. 100%.
And he didn't catch it. And then it was just a lot of chatter.
It didn't stop for an hour.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, it just we're technically not allowed to share every little quote that we hear and stuff from on the field. But let me just put it from my coaching perspective. I'll say this. For me, if it was our guys, I would have told him to shut up, because I thought it crossed the line from, okay, we're still teammates. I think that there's a lot of healthy chatter that goes on there. It is the NFL. It is definitely not high school football, so I get it. And I think that up until this point, I really hadn't seen or heard anything that crossed the line to that point. But I just saw today, it was like, all right, you made your point. I think some of this is definitely healthy for the rookie, Tyreek Stevenson, to get used to. And Tyreek, you can tell, because he was chirping back a little bit. But I think the big difference was when Tyreek Stevenson was making a play, it wasn't like he started yelling back at Claypool as practice went on. He just was going about his business. And that I respected. Because as much as Claypool was, because there was a rep later where DJ Moore beat Stevenson, and Claypool just was giving it to him again.
Right.
And I'm like, at that point, I'm like, dude, you're not even practicing anymore.
Right.
Like, I feel like
you tweak something, you've been out.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. For me today, and we've been very open and honest about this, I think Chase Claypool's had a great training camp. I've been optimistic about him. I appreciate how much he's been out there on the practice field. He has not missed a day of practice. We'll see if he's out there tomorrow now that he pulled the hamstring. I mean, yeah, basically he missed practice today because this happened.
3/4 of it.
This happened early in one-on-ones. But I don't know. I know that Eberflus kind of brushed it off in the press conference today when he was asked about it, and I don't even know at that point how much he was aware of what
wasn't around when that was exactly
because he's in the middle of the field. Yeah. I have a feeling that behind the scenes it gets addressed at least a little bit. Now, what I will say is John Hoke, the DB's coach, who was right there hearing all this, I like that he didn't necessarily say anything to Claypool, because from his standpoint, he's coaching up the rookie. And there are going to be games like this where you're going to hear that, and you see it all the time, the wide receivers, corners going at each other, and you just don't want it to respond. And Flus said this today, too. You just don't want it to result in a penalty. Mm-hmm. So I think in John Hoke's standpoint, he was just, keep playing, control what you can control. And I did think Tyreek Stevenson did a good job of that.
Yeah, I would say this with that whole situation, too. Like, afterwards, yes, Claypool is still kind of giving it to Tyreek Stevenson verbally, but he also went to go try to get clarification from the one ref that was on looking at the rep who gave him the flag, trying to plead his case, so to speak, and then also went to talk to Tyke Tolbert about it to say, he kind of threw him down to the ground to get past him on the line of scrimmage. And later in the practice, you also see Claypool, he's giving high fives to his teammates. So I don't want to make it out to be like he's just this terrible person, but we have seen the last couple of practices where he does like to vocalize, exactly what he's thinking. You can hear him, but you just don't want to see that trickle into the locker room. And Khalil Herbert was asked about that today. And he said, what happens on the football field, like we've been hearing, stays out there. And still, to me, I'm amazed that they're, I guess, so good about doing that.
If you, just to try to give you a feel for what went on the field, if you watched The Last Dance and there's Jordan on the court say, woo, woo, like just poking at everybody, and it was a little bit like that, and it was somewhat playful. But I'm sitting there like, dude, you've got 14 catches in this uniform. You played 7 games. You are out here acting like, you're Jerry Rice in his prime or something. So it's just, there's a little bit too much for what, and I get it. He's had, a very good season in the NFL with the Steelers, but there's just a little too much chatter for the amount of production that at least the Bears have got from in a
Yeah, but
from
from his standpoint, a rookie, getting chirpy. And if we're going to talk about, who's getting chirpy, to me, the DB, if we want to talk about who started it here in the last week and a half, the DBs are the ones that got this thing fired up. And Claypool responded on a few days after that. And like you mentioned on that one where you talked about how he flexed over a guy. So he's showing, okay, I'm going to clap back. And I don't mind that competitiveness, but it certainly is starting to spill over and do over the line.
That's fair. That there was a lot more energy on the defensive side of the ball.
The DBs have been the loudest the whole camp.
That's fair. That's fair.
And what I do like, and I've been saying this for a couple of years now, even one of the faults I thought of the last regime is that they had too many nice guys. And there are certain guys, you do want to have a certain mix of edginess in your locker room, on your practice field, and I'm all for that. Where that comes from, though, it matters.
It's got to be harnessed properly.
Right? And like to your point, if Michael Jordan is doing this, everyone's going to sit there and be like, okay, but you got to earn it. Now, I don't necessarily know how Claypool's being received. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I will say this, and I'll repeat what I just said earlier. I have not had a problem with it. I didn't even have a problem with it when the first thing happened today. It was more so after he got hurt.
He was still John.
And and like his first reaction was to like, and again, we can't repeat everything that was said, but to me, what he said there as he's hurt kind of crossed the line for me as a coach. And that's where I would have stepped in and been like, all right, that's enough. Go get your leg taken care of.
Well, any opportunity that he got to go at Tyreek the rest of the practice, he basically took it. And Braggs, you're right that the DBs were chirping the most, but Tyreek wasn't really like chirping at him today. He just took exception to that.
He was kind of just defending himself.
Yeah.
And I'm not referencing today because you guys were much closer to it. They were on the far side of the field. I'm talking about the last week.
Right.
Tyreek has certainly been involved in some of the chirping.
Yeah, but he's on the low end. I mean, that's more Brisker and Gordon and Eddie.
Yep.
I mean, he's not out there being this mouthy rookie. That's
but the whole I think just the whole DB team really. I mean, today when they showed up when Velus made that drop.
Yeah,
they
were all there.
They showed him up afterwards, and he did. I mean, to me, your teammates, whatever. There's competitiveness. I got no issue with it as long as it doesn't turn into a toxicity.
Right. And by the way, it'll be interesting going forward here if some of the DBs take up for Tyreek going forward with him when he gets back on the practice field, if Eddie's extra chirpy, which we did see over the weekend, not the same thing, but Claypool's coming, could let him go out of bounds, and Eddie cracked him. So
I'll say this much. I'm setting the over-under on fights next week at 3.5 when they go to Indianapolis because this team is geared up. They're tired of a lot of, they just have this chippiness to them. We've seen more than a few tussles and even outright fights going on. I know we have a preseason game Saturday, so maybe that'll lessen the blow. But when they go to Indy next week for 2 straight practices for 2+ hours, there's going to be some competitiveness, and I literally cannot wait for those practices. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Tomorrow could be interesting too, although I'll be surprised if Claypool's practicing tomorrow. I guess I would bet against it.
Well, yeah, and real quick before we move on, we should address the injury because of all this. That's the worst because he's got to stay healthy, and we have all been giving him credit for the fact that he's been out there in every practice.
Yep.
And again, he seems to have a fire under him right now that I like. All we're saying here, and I think any of us who are really out there saw, like, this was at least borderline. And I find it very interesting that none of the coaches really seem to shoot it down. So maybe they want this. Cool. Well, but it's something to continue to track. It's definitely something to talk about. As far as the injury, not too worried about it. Barely got any treatment. They did take his helmet away. He didn't go inside. He seemed to be walking around slightly gingerly, but he was on his feet the entire practice and engaged, even as he was talking more shit. But he was engaged.
Yeah.
So this definitely seems like more of a day-to-day thing than anything serious.
I hope. I'm nervous about it because, he was so fired up, even if it was serious or, more serious than just a day-to-day thing. He wasn't going anywhere because he wanted to let Tyreek Stevenson know the rest of the day. So I'm nervous about it. But yeah, with our conversations over the first week to 10 days where I was trying to gauge who was standing out more, DJ Moore officially passed Chase Claypool today. I mean, it would to me was always close. Ooh, I know. Wow. Resident Meatball, accused liar is now saying that DJ Moore is now the best wide receiver showing throughout camp. We got one more day. Chase Claypool is likely not to practice tomorrow, but I never thought the margin was different. To me, it was an exciting conversation because I thought they both were playing well. But now that Chase has gotten hurt and the way DJ Moore played today really just puts it in the spotlight that you guys were trying to point out to me, like what he's doing, while it can look easy at times, is special.
Consistent, man.
Let the record show it, like the game of Risk. Reality Island has taken over Meatball Island, planted the flag.
Hey,
I love playing Risk.
Yeah, injuries got in the way of this.
Good job.
All right,
we'll concede for now.
All right. Well, in the meantime, this episode of CHGO Bears is brought to you by BetterHelp. We love BetterHelp. We love talking. We love whatever issues that are being thrown at us in life. Therapy is a great way to handle it all, and that's why we love BetterHelp. If whether you're dealing with decisions around your career, relationships, really anything else, therapy helps you stay connected to what you really want while you navigate life so you can move forward with confidence and excitement. Trusting yourself to make decisions that align with your values is like anything. The more you practice it, the easier it gets. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. This is how it works. You fill out a brief questionnaire. You get matched with a licensed therapist, and you are allowed to switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Head to betterhelp.com/CHGO. Answer a few questions about yourself and your goals. You'll receive an email once you're matched. Start connecting with your therapist, and from there you can start scheduling your sessions. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/CHGO today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/CHGO.
Check out BetterHelp, and everyone, you got to check out Lewis University. Many of the students are adults just like you. Many have full-time jobs and/or families, and all of them chose Lewis's supportive educational community to help make their transition back to school as easy as possible to earn a respected degree. 35 miles southwest of Chicago in Romeoville, ranked as one of U.S. News & World Report's top-tier colleges, Lewis partners with numerous employers for tuition discounts and offers evening, online, and blended formats to help you balance work, family, and education. And faculty bring a real-world experience and instruction to the classroom, which is immediately relevant to your career, and they can offer support and academic resources for adult students. And whether you're looking to complete your bachelor's or master's degree or enroll in a professional certificate program, Lewis has the right program for you. Lewis offers several career-focused programs that will set you up for success. We're just going to highlight one here, the criminal justice, public safety. First responders, they receive 20% off tuition discount, and tuition is deferred for 6 weeks after the end of each class section. So another adult undergraduate programs you can look into, business analytics, business programs, technology programs, all of it is there at Lewis. And here's the most important part, everybody. You can discover how a degree from Lewis can help you build a better world. Learn more at lewisu.edu/you can do this. One more time, that's lewisu.edu/you can do this.
All right.
We do have a guy in the chat by the name of Herb Howard who says, wow, proud of you, Mr. Mayor.
Let's go, Herb.
Okay.
Let's
Reunited, and it feels so good.
Wait, but are you still the mayor if Herb took over
No,
Meatball Island?
No, he's not mayor of Meatball Island. That's my title.
Well, I don't think he wants to be either.
No, he doesn't. He
still owns the island.
He's on Elitist Island with you and Wiederer and Carm. Nick's like in the middle on a rowboat trying to figure out where he's going, and I'm trying to like pull him in. But I'm on Meatball Island. We're throwing a party over there.
I am not on Elitist Island.
Yes, you are.
Oh, no, I'm not. Oh, no, I'm not.
You can't come to the party.
Yeah, that you can put me on some island. It ain't that island.
We'll go to Duke Island.
If we're
Duke
talking about
Island.
if we're talking about Bears reporters on Elitist Island, that's not where I get dropped off. There are some other places that you could put me that are more appropriate. We can discuss those off the air as I go through this moment in time. Herb's the man, though, and I'm glad that he took you on and your Chase Claypool
Our Twitter
thoughts.
beef.
Yeah.
What's that island in the Leonardo DiCaprio movie? Is it Inception?
No,
That's the island. I
No.
don't know. That
That's
movie
what we're going to
confused
send
me.
you, Braggs, if you keep going.
it wasn't Inception. It was the
What am I
prison.
thinking of?
They
Yeah.
were in a prison.
I'm
it was
in
like
Realville.
an insane asylum.
Again,
Herb Howard.
the commenters will help us out.
Yeah.
Realville.
Real.
Pull up.
I like that.
I
Realville.
can't.
All right.
One
well,
floor of the cuckoo's nest.
can we go to Realville right now, please?
Yeah, Shutter Island. Okay.
Shutter Island.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
And then we'll get to some super chats. Thank you, chat, for
Shutter Island. Shutter
jumping in with Shutter Island. I understand the questioning and why it came up today. I think Pat Finley's the one that asked the question, but I'm still floored by anybody who actually shares this belief. And I'm not even sure Pat does. I think just the question had to be asked. But the Flu said Fields is playing Saturday, which to me there was never any question about. But Pat asked the question, okay, now that he's in year 3, year 2 of the offense, basically, do you really need to play him in the preseason because of the risk of injury?
Yes, we do.
Yes, you do.
And I, just in some of the responses I got on Twitter to just tweeting that Justin Fields was going to play, got some of that pushback. Like like there appears to be some Bears fans. I think it's probably a pretty big minority that just think Justin Fields is far enough along right now that it's not worth the risk to play him. What?
It's a very vocal well, I don't even know if it's a minority because
I think it
they are
is.
loud.
But if you are one of those people, I cannot stress this enough to you. He is not there yet. And I say that with all optimism that he's going to get there. But from what we're seeing on the practice field and some of these situations, and I love how much they're testing the offense, both with all these cadences that they've been practicing, which, by the way, they need to practice in games, and also some of the situations they put them in. You got to put them in live football. And I realize it's dangerous. It always is. It's football. But dare I bring up 2019?
Oh, yeah, you should, because Matt Nagy's in the chat saying you should never play the starters in the preseason.
Well, Matt, Mr. Nagy, Mr. Coach
How'd
Nagy.
that work out for you?
You already have admitted that was wrong because you came back the year after and basically said that was a mistake, and you played your starters again because it was a mistake, especially for a young quarterback. Now, is that the reason why Mitch never made it? No, but you learned hard that year that you can't just sit your starters and then go out there and try to beat the Packers in week 1. So I think that's insane. I'm not saying he needs to play a lot. I would follow what you would normally probably do, which is get him a series or 2 on Saturday, play him a lot more next week in Indianapolis, especially after you get to practice against the Colts for a few days. And then if everything is where you think it should be at that point, you sit him in that last game against the Bills. That would be perfectly reasonable. But this any idea that Justin Fields could just stop right now, and not that he'd stop in practice, but not play any preseason games and then just go out there and be perfect against the Packers in week 1, that's insane to me.
Well, just look at what happened today with the cadences. You brought it up, Adam. Like, they were having false starts, and not that that was the only reason they were false starting, but Fields and that offense need that to try those cadences in a hostile environment. Go to Indianapolis and try it out, because you need to do it in game and not just in practice. That's going to take time. So there's a bunch of benefits to just getting your quarterback out there. He's not going to play the whole game.
He's going to play one series.
Exactly. So you get them those reps that you can take into the regular season to iron things out a little bit, see what you can do better, and move on. Then, so I have no issue, and I don't think most Bears fans do, with Fields at least playing a little bit in the preseason.
And by the way, it helps your offensive line too.
Exactly.
Because PJ Walker is going to have a different voice, a different cadence than Justin Fields. So if you put your starting offensive line, and by the way, they need to play a
whoever
lot
those
too.
will be.
Those guys need to play too. You can't have it be with the quarterback who's not going to be the same quarterback they're with in week one.
I would do it a little more old school. I wouldn't play him more than a quarter, but I would play him until you see some level of success out there. If they've run the first series and they go 3 and out, 2 runs, and they whatever, they throw it on 3rd and 6 and it's incomplete, we're gonna do it. We are gonna do another run here. And if it goes the same way again, I'm gonna do a 3rd run. Let's let the offense get some confidence, have some good vibes going, and then we can call it a day. I mean, I'm as nervous as anybody out there about anyone getting hurt, but you got to get him ready. You got to put him in the best position to have success, and playing in the preseason is where this team is at. So I'm happy that they're doing it.
Injury is always a risk. We understand that. And that's why it's incumbent on Luke Getsy and Justin Fields to understand that and run a series, build up to that 3rd preseason game, but do it in a mindful manner where you're not putting yourself in harm's way. Like today, there was a couple times where Justin could have taken it upfield, padded practice, but they're not tackling Justin Fields. But he still took it out of bounds instead of taking that angle up the field that he easily can do. You know, T3P asks in the podcast, asks in the chat, what does one series even do?
It's great if he goes down the field and scores a touchdown.
Right. And
it's really a snap count rather than a series count.
Right. Yeah. You're getting into game mode. You're building yourself up to week 1. So this week you get into game mode, you prep before the game, you do your warm-ups, the exact routine you're going to do for week 1. You play 1 series, and then the second week, you play a quarter, and then the 3rd preseason game, just like they did last year under Matt Eberflus, they'll play the whole half. And then you get 2 weeks off before the regular season, and that's building you up to being ready for the Green Bay Packers. You take these days off, you want to put these guys, in soft play them. It's going to be the exact same outcome as 2019. You're not going to be ready to play football, and there's going to be disappointment on the lakefront, and that's not what I want, and I don't think Eberflus is going to do that. So
it's a good point, too, about the offensive line. Darnell Wright, dude needs to play.
Oh, God, yes.
You got to be out there.
I wonder how much they play him, though. I mean, look, obviously he's a rookie. He needs those snaps, but you don't.
Well, and the other aspect about getting continuity on the offensive line, who's going to be their offensive line? Because Nate Davis was out again today. Yeah. Tevin Jenkins had to go to the sideline. I think you reported that he wasn't feeling well, maybe.
He's just tired. He
got hit.
From our standpoint in the stands, we don't know if he's hurt or what, but he gets taken out. They bring in Alex Leatherwood at left guard.
He left the game.
I don't care who.
Jenkins went back in, by the way.
And that's fine, but you're going to have injuries on the offensive line. So whoever's out there, they got to learn to play together. We're not unlikely to have the 5 same offensive line all season like the 2006 Bears that took that team to the Super Bowl. That's unlikely to happen. So you got to build this continuity with everyone that's in that offensive line room.
Now, if they want to sit DJ Moore, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. Now, you can certainly make an argument that Justin needs to, but I've almost seen enough of that chemistry in practice.
I completely agree.
That if they don't play DJ Moore, I'm not going to object to it. If they play him for a series or a little bit just to make sure they can all line up and get their wide receiver rotation in order, that's fine too. But to me, DJ Moore has reached the status of, you don't want to play in the preseason, you're good. And by the way, I hope Justin gets to that point. If he's in the Aaron Rodgers category in a year or two of he doesn't need to play, because I don't think Rodgers has played in preseason games since 2018.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Good for him, and that'll be perfectly fine. But they're not there yet. They're just not.
That's a great point or great take, whatever. The only guy on this roster that doesn't need to play is DJ Moore. The rest of the roster needs to play.
Well,
that's how I see it.
You asked, Carm, what does this offense do well? There is no question it's Justin Fields to DJ Moore. And I might have my, perspective of how many deep balls have they hit while I'm there. But at the same time, they are killing it on the underneath and intermediate stuff, the slant game and everything. To me, it's a question of, not if he's going to get 100 balls, DJ Moore. Is he going to get 120? I mean, they have that kind of connection growing.
There's no doubt. It is the biggest difference from last year to this year. Those two. together, walking down Bears victory road, hopefully. Because they're going to, if the Bears are going to win a lot of football games this year, DJ Moore is going to be right in the middle of it. He's going to put up huge.
What's the most catches in a single season? We didn't do this when we talked about our records.
For just the Bears, or
but
just
he's
in general?
you thought Mitch went to Allen Robinson a lot. Justin Fields is gonna be going to DJ Moore a lot. It's
yeah,
exciting.
probably. But the difference is this is still. I don't think this is a team that's still going to be throwing the ball, 40 times a game.
Why not?
Because like what Carm brought up earlier in the show,
I guess it's 118.
The running game,
118 from Brandon Marshall with the Bears in 2012, most receptions ever.
I believe it. Look, the running game's still good. It's going to be a strength of this team, and they're going to rely on the running game. So even as Justin Fields and DJ Moore hopefully take flight, there's still going to be somewhat limited opportunities. I want to switch the conversation a little bit more to the offensive line now, and especially the first-round draft pick, Darnell Wright, because I don't know that we've talked enough about him in training camp so far, and I think part of it is just because all of us and me just over the years, I hate judging offensive linemen until the pads go on.
Same.
So now that we've had a handful of padded practices, I think we can start to make more of a conclusion here. I want to highlight a tweet from Clay Harbor today. Our friend Clay Harbor was out of practice. He said, watched a lot of Darnell Wright today. He showed flashes, but had an up and down day. Guy has a bright future, but I hope people still remember he's a rookie. I was talking to Sylvie a little bit today too, Mark Silverman at practice, about Darnell Wright, because I have to say, to this point, I've been slightly underwhelmed based on my own high expectations for him because I liked the draft pick so much when it was made. And so I just retweeted Clay Harbor and I said, this is exactly how I would describe Darnell Wright's entire camp so far, not just today. I think it's a good microcosm of all camp. And I'm anxious to see him in preseason games because I do think there's a lot of good mixed in. I think there's the bright side or bright future, as Clay put it in his tweet, is definitely still there. There's absolutely zero panic for me whatsoever. I also like to hear the details from Getsy last week and Flus today on how much they're challenging the cadences. And I followed up with Flus to ask him, basically, I assume that's affecting Darnell Wright the most because not only is he a rookie, but that Tennessee offense with the speed that they play at, I doubt they have, like Flu said, he was probably playing with most 2 cadences last year at Tennessee. So there's definitely an adjustment period. And I just want to highlight what Clay said because I think we're all going to have to remember, myself included, that he is still a rookie. But I cannot wait to see him in a preseason game Saturday for the first time. And I would definitely put him in the category of players that even if they start subbing in some of the backups on the O-line, play Darnell Wright to halftime.
I would.
Yeah, get him as much experience as possible. He needs it.
I would do the same with Braxton Jones for the record. Let's
Sure,
go.
Yeah.
These are young players who need to play.
And I think, too, for just what I've seen from Darnell Wright, and even when the practices when he hasn't had pads and when he has, it's the inside move that has got him a couple of times where, whether it's Terrell Lewis, Dominique Robinson, they've taken advantage of the rookie. And, that's what I want to see him going if he's on an island for a play. Just how he approaches the pass rush, how he's able to stop the pass rush, whether it's the bull rush speed, whatever they're using. You want to see Darnell Wright get as much different kind of reps from these pass rushers as possible so that when it comes to regular season, he's not going to have everything in his toolbox at that point, but at least he's seen it once, and you can learn from those reps. But Darnell Wright, I think, is somebody that obviously the Bears move back to go get number 10 overall pick, and they need to see him. Maybe he struggles beginning of the season, you guys, but as the season goes on, he can't just plateau. He needs to ascend as a player. I think that's how you best categorize Darnell Wright's season in a positive way.
I think that the biggest compliment that he's gotten by people talking about his play is that he's got tremendous feet for his size.
Yeah.
So that is a big-time compliment from dudes going up against him.
Which basically means getting to his landmark and setting on time.
I mean, yeah, and I have no idea what the Bears have or don't have in Darnell Wright. I got to see it on the field. But if you're just looking at training camp, has he been impressive? He's been middle of the road. He's looked good. He's looked lost. And he's gotten beat a lot. But he's also had moments where it's like, ooh, well, there you see the physicality there too. So I fingers crossed they have it, but I think it's impossible to know right now.
Back to the running game too. that might be where he really shines early.
True.
And we just have not seen enough of that. And I think they've made an emphasis in recent days, especially today. I mean, we saw, and I guess at Family Fest the other day when I wasn't there, but just hearing Flus talk about that a little bit, I think you're starting to see that a little bit better there. So, like, let's not ignore that side of it. And he might be a dominant rookie in the run game and just have his moments in pass pro and struggle with some false starts from time to time because of the cadences. And there's probably going to be some of those rookie moments early on. All right, let's get to some super chats in a second. But first, I want to make sure everybody's taking on the sun with gear that is built to last. They're coming in clutch for all of us in training camp over and over again. That's our friends at Shady Rays. They have you covered for all this warm weather, the sunny days, with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company that offers a world-class product just as good as any expensive pair we've worn, durable frames, and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures. I know we've seen some tweets in the last couple days from people that have fired off their Shady Rays orders, multiple pairs. They all look great. Shady Rays does a great job with their designs as well. And they offer the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost and broken replacements. So wherever you are in your summer outdoor adventures, in the water somewhere, if you lose them, you break them, even on day one, Shady Rays told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. And together with their customers, Shady Rays is providing much-needed support to nonprofit partners across the U.S. through Shady Rays Impact. Exclusive for our listeners. Take advantage of it right now. Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com. Use code CHGO. You'll get 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people.
When you're wearing your Shady Rays, you're going to love if you go over to Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. That's right. Have a day here. Sunnyside's your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, live the dream, purchase a wide array of high-quality products. No pun intended. Mindy's and Good News and Cresco and High Supply. The Wonder Wellness Company wants to make the world of cannabis simple to understand and easy to experience for everyone. Something for everybody here. Through August, this is what you want to do. Go to sunnyside.shop. Use that code CHGO25 at checkout. You get 25% off your total order. So it's one use per customer, not stackable with other promotions, but it's not for new customers. If you've been to Sunnyside before, you can use this code this one time, CHGO25, 25% off. Anyone can use that code. Pick up everything you need to elevate your summer or the fall that is on the way. You do have to be 21 or over or an Illinois Med card holder. Sunnyside.shop. Use that code CHGO25.
And one more reminder, golf outing just a couple weeks away. And our foursomes, our spots in this golf, what we're calling the CHGO Kickoff Classic, because we're kicking off football season with golf.
Let's go.
Basically, the two greatest things you can have together, football and golf, except for Braggs being there. But
yeah, right. We got a big, healthy competition going on that day.
Yeah, there's rumors, too, that we might get a little preview in Indianapolis next week. It's some of the golf game.
I'm excited for that.
That's when the actual wager will be made, and you're going to be watching it and refereeing, and it's
you're
going
not
down.
going to talk the entire 18 holes.
Oh, okay.
Wait, at the golf classic or
in Indy?
In Indy.
No,
talking.
it's a no speaking event.
Yeah, when you go to golf events, they have the quiet please signs for a reason.
Oh, okay.
Not the cram please.
You can go.
Guys, I just thought about it. We need a quiet please sign for the show. We absolutely have to have one. So when Braggs, when I'm trying to send him mind signals, I can just hold up a sign. Quiet please.
I'm not going to talk is one of the more absurd statements of all time. All I'm going to do is talk, and it's going to be great.
All right, well, go sign off for the Golf Classic and the Kickoff Classic. And if you're a diehard, you get a discount. We're all going to be there. We're going to have a good time. And check out chgolocker.com for all of our great merch as well. Still got that QB slide shirt and all of our awesome football merchandise, as well as all the other sports that we cover. Quiet please.
There you go. Good job, Nick.
Nick can do anything with that.
He's so smart.
Nick's so talented. I
That's a
hate
fault.
Nick.
All right, super chat. We hand the show over to Gregory, brick by brick.
This is always a terrifying moment of the show, but we're going to go through it anyway. The Pod Watch, $9.99 super chat. Finally figured this out. My question from yesterday. We appreciate your support, Pod Watch. Until today, I haven't heard much about Andrew Billings. How's his camp been, and do you see him having a major impact on this defense?
I do. I like him a lot. I like the signing when it happened. I think it was a very low cost, low risk signing that could have a big impact. Veteran presence. Coaches have raved about his just presence in the locker room, and I think it's a good scheme fit. And buy some time for these rookies, for Javon Dexter and Zach Pickens to come along, because we can't forget that either. If we're saying top 10 pick, Darnell Wright needs some patience and time. Well, these second round and third round defensive tackles are going to need it too. So to have a guy like Andrew Billings, who from all accounts and my own included, my own eyes, I like what I've seen. I think it's an underrated signing, and I think this is a guy that is going to receive very few complaints from fans.
All I want to say is
the
that
season.
Billings and Travis Bell have a very similar body type, and I'm thinking poor man's William Perry for both of them.
I'm thinking poor man's Keith Tractor Trailer. I think is more apropos.
That was a big word for Greg.
I got words and shit.
Out of nowhere, an apropos. Wasn't Trailer taller than that? Billings is not tall. That's why. Like we're
gonna need Lawrence to pull that gif. I got words and shit.
Apropos too can be a thing. You're apropos.
Nice.
It's from Blue Streak.
What were you gonna say?
You got guns.
Andrew Billings, we identify him as just a run stuffer. These past couple of practices, he's been getting in the backfield, getting those TFLs, and like Gary put in the chat, like he probably would have had a sack or two in today's practice. So he's not only just stopping the run, like he's showing that he can get to the quarterback too. So that's just another wrinkle to add to what Billings can bring to the interior of this Bears defense.
And let me be clear, by the way, on my Travis Bell, because Gary's putting in their Bell's half the size. Like to me, like Billings is like Benny the Bull, and Bell is like half the bull. Like they look like they're similar in the fact that they're both very thick.
It's also not that different. Billings is 6'1", 311, and Travis Bell is 6 foot 310.
But he looks much shorter.
But he does look
He
shorter.
does look
I
shorter.
swear he
He
does.
does look more compact.
He does.
That 1 inch makes all the difference.
cheese.
Regardless, I like Billings.
Yeah, he's looked good.
Super Bowl.
Bears.
Yeah.
Next, Greg.
Just like somebody said, Keith Trailer and Ted Washington get those big bodies in the middle to let Trumaine Edmonds roam around, let the linebackers do their thing. All right, so next up, Chappie Quiddy, $4.99 super chat. Has there ever been a camp where issues that we see don't come true? I feel like camp does a good job forecasting what's going to happen in season. If I could give one example to that, it was every year Devin Hester to Jay Cutler to Devin Hester. You'd go to camp and you'd think these two were going to light up the league every camp.
Yeah, but that's the opposite of what he's talking about. He's saying issues.
Has there ever been a
Because I would agree with what you're saying, that sometimes there's fool's gold. There's things that look good that end up still being a problem. His question is, are there glaring issues or noticeable issues that don't become a problem in the regular season? And I would agree with that super chat. I think most of the time when you see something, and it's the old adage that practice translates to the games, and that's why you want to get this stuff cleaned up. So
Trying to remember how did the 2019 season preseason or training camp go, and was there any indications of what we saw in that year? But
he's again asking something that was an issue at camp that ended up not being an issue in the regular season. That's an interesting question because you always, we mentioned, you see it the opposite way. It's much more clear. But, by the time you get to the regular season, when something's not an issue, you completely forget that it was an issue at camp.
Because just something, I'm trying to think of something.
Jamar Chase drops in Cincinnati. That's the one that everyone's going to talk about.
That's a really good one.
Right?
But
So people are comparing
unfortunately,
that with
that's not
Tyler
the
Scott.
Chicago Bears.
Right, but people are comparing that with Tyler Scott. Oh, they said that about Jamar Chase in his rookie season, and then he blew up.
Hopefully that's
But Tyler still has to do that, so we don't have an example yet.
I love Bears fans' justifications.
Oh yeah,
the number 3 overall pick
the rationale.
is like one of the best wide receivers
We
in
can
football.
Rationalize anything.
But that is a good example of something that happened in the preseason.
It was an issue, yep.
That ended up being okay. But like I can think of another example from a different team. Like Christian Watson went through struggles last year, and that carried over to the regular season. Then he sort of grew out of them as the season went along. I'm thinking of examples like when Cody Whitehair was having snap issues, and that carried over to the regular season.
There's probably a bunch of them, honestly. But
I don't know.
Yeah.
How about this? I'd love to see an example of something that looks bad now that doesn't end up being a problem, but I'm struggling with it right now. It's a great question. I'll give that more thought.
Excellent question.
Yeah.
He stumped what was that show? The Stump the Schwab.
Yeah.
All right. So go
Who's
ahead.
the Schwab here? None of us are the Schwab.
No.
Keep going. Thank you.
Go ahead and read this one, Mark.
Sangray Kim, we were so hyped about Travis Bell when we drafted him. Is he that invisible in training camp? Why aren't we talking about him? Sangray, he is that invisible. Maybe in the preseason games it will come along, but I don't think he's invisible to the point that he's getting cut, though. He just feels like he's going to be on the practice squad. Next.
I think Carm has to go.
Greg, I'm talking to you.
What did you, I'm reading. I'm producing. What did you say to me?
I said next. That we talked to Sangray.
You went through that quickly.
Yes.
$5 from
Yes.
Sangray Kim.
We appreciate it, Sangray Kim. Do you have another one?
You get 1
Travis
second
Bell
per
did
dollar.
flash on a play a couple days ago where he on second
backfield.
team. We talked about it in the last show.
Yep.
And he did a nice swim move and was immediately in the backfield and came running back to the huddle because he was so excited about the play he made. And it was a nice play. So there you go. That's his one flash play we've seen.
There you go. Next.
All right, Adam, you're gonna read this one.
Who plays more games, Jenkins or Claypool this year? Nicholas Romando. Sorry.
Thank you, Carm. I'll read when I want to read.
$1.99.
Here we go.
Who played?
Nobody's going, you're reading too much.
It's a great
Now look.
It's a great question. I'll set the over under. I would pick. I'll go. I take Claypool myself. I'm worried about Tevin.
I agree. I'm gonna go with Claypool.
Haters. All right, Jeremy. I'm kidding.
I
I'm
just
kidding.
went with your guy.
Whatever. I just want to.
So whichever one we picked, we would have been a hater.
No
There.
mayor what.
That's
It's
what.
a no-
That's
it's a
what the
quiet
mayor of Bears
please.
Twitter does.
Quiet, please.
No,
Yes.
that only applies to you.
And
Next.
and not Carm.
That's correct.
That's ridiculous. All right,
Next.
Nick, you're reading this one.
Jeremy Day, $5. Been hearing a lot of love for both Tyreek Stevenson and Terrell Smith. Does their solid first impression impact Jalen Johnson extension talks?
I did say Nick read that. There, Curly.
Curly.
What do you think? Well, Nick
Three
can answer
Stooges?
it. What do you think?
Does it impact Jalen Johnson extension talks? I don't think so. I mean, they're both look. Terrell Smith's been injured the past 2 days, but it's good seeing both these guys making plays throughout training camp. And I think Jalen Johnson. I mean, he's been making a lot of plays too, you guys.
Yeah.
I think ideally, maybe they can get something worked out and have really good depth at the cornerback spot.
I said this on our quick recap video we did earlier today after practice. Which you can also find in the CHGO channel here. I think DJ Moore is making Jalen Johnson better. I like that back and forth that we've seen. I think it's been a fun, healthy battle, much healthier than what we saw with Claypool and Stevenson today, in my opinion. I think it's a great question, Jeremy, and ultimately I'm going to say no, because if you end up with a top tier corner that you want to extend, you don't not do it just because you think you have young depth up and coming. Jalen Johnson's still young. We're only talking about his second contract here. If he's earned that contract and he hits the benchmarks or whatever the Bears still feel like they want to see, you lock that guy down. It's too much of a premium position. You spend the money. You make sure you got that guy in the fold.
And one more thing real quick. I don't know if you're not gonna see the full evaluation for both those guys, Stevenson and Terrell Smith, this season. Jalen Johnson's still here. So to make that decision, you would need to be really sure in what you got with those two rookies, but you're not gonna see that this season.
But at the same token, it gives Ryan Poles leverage, especially if they both play well, which they still have to prove that. And then when you add in the fact that the Bears have 2 first-round picks next year, which I fully am embracing another trade back, so we have more first-round picks. But at the same time, I do believe that is also part of the leverage Ryan Poles will be able to use in these contract negotiations to stay at his number.
All right, we're officially at an hour, which means we're going to rapid fire through these super chats to close out the show. Keys, $5. If Fields gets off to a 5-for-5 completion rate, I believe Getsy is going to call at least 30 passing plays. I think that depends on the run. I mean, if there's stuff in the run and Fields is getting easy completions because they're ganging up on the run, then maybe. But I don't think I don't think you get away from what your offense is really built around.
What's the score of the game too?
1,000-0 Bears.
I love it.
So you run the ball. Chubbs 82, $5. The question is, how is the guy we passed up doing in training camp compared to the guy we took?
That's a loser right now. If you're reading press clippings, Jalen Carter's like the greatest player in the history of football. But let's wait and see how that one pans out.
I was also just seeing a tweet about my guy John Michael Schmitz, who the Bears could have had, and apparently he's already in the Hall of Fame.
George Pickens.
Peter Skorowski's going to the Hall of Fame too. Don't worry about it. We're fine. Let's go.
All right, what's
Nick.
next?
Nick's got this one.
Who do we have this from? Dapper Dan. Dapper Dan. People saying Fields shouldn't play in the preseason are partying way too hard on Meatball Island. Pro Bowlers, MVPs, the Super Bowl winners get the preseason off. And all those things, Justin Fields currently is not.
We're
right
gaining
now.
momentum. I know we're pumping out shirts at CHGO, but a Meatball Island shirt might be in the works. The amount of people starting to embrace the Meatball Island.
There you go.
Carm wants to be on it, so maybe we'll let you have a shirt if you don't talk all the 18
I
holes.
definitely did not say I want to be on Meatball Island. Next.
Oh my God! All right, Chris Gutron, $5 super chat. I've trained in Muay Thai. Did I say that right?
Muay Thai, MMA. Where we
Not
literally
the
fight
drink,
for
the fighting.
Not the drink.
Hey, I've trained plenty in Mai Tais.
Camp
Without a
I'm
doubt.
an expert in Muay
I'm going to
Thais.
have a Mai Tai right after the show.
Expert in Muay Thais, but
Camp
this is
Nibba
Muay
man.
Thai MMA, where we literally fight our teammates in training, and after the round ends, we shake hands. Seems pretty normal for practice.
I'm with you. That's fine. Good. I didn't see the shaky, handy though, but I don't know. Maybe that came out after we left.
Me
the
and
field.
Carm almost killed each other in the bleachers the other day, and then afterwards we were hugging. So that's what good teammates do.
It's because I smoothed it over and I was so good. But keep on going.
Rob DS 127 $1.99 super chat. Should Alan Williams be on the hot seat? I think so.
Didn't have any talent. No, not yet.
Didn't have any pass rushers. Ask us that same question after week 4.
Okay. All right. Chubbs, my guy, Chubbs 82 $2 super chat. Greg is 100% Brendan Schwab. I would slow down with the percentages you're throwing around there, or the comp.
Chubbs.
I didn't know his name was Brendan.
Me neither.
It's a great show, though. Sangray Kim, another $4.99 super chat. Judging my Hoge's cryptic pessimism, we're gonna be so disappointed by JF1 against the Packers on September 10th. FML.
Saying Ray, don't read into anything. Hoge's not saying that. Not saying that.
I'm definitely not.
There you go.
Stay
Stay optimistic, saying Ray.
She's still reading your mini camp updates.
He's also saying he's not going to throw for 400 yards. We'll see.
Yeah, those damn mini camp updates.
Yeah, I'm saying 500.
Right, my bad.
All right, our girl Crystal Simone, Carm's girl, doesn't want anything to do with Carm. Brags, I want to meet you on Saturday. # bear down. Crystal, you know we can't wait to meet you, Crystal, and we appreciate your support. And I know Carm loves you so much with all of his heart.
Crystal's my hero.
His little Grinch heart. But at the same time, we are going to be in studio on Saturday for pre and post game show. So we will not be in Indianapolis. We will be there, at some point.
Saturday's game's at Soldier Field.
This Saturday, it's at Indianapolis.
Oh, they played.
Try not to.
And
This
then
Saturday, we don't play Indy.
Why would we practice
Oh.
after the game?
That's next week. Well, I got a lot going on. All right, whoever they play, shut up. I can't wait to meet you either, Crystal.
Next one, please.
Damn, Swanky 32. My guy Swanky $4.99 super chat. This
He just
season-
told himself to shut up.
Sometimes I send myself texts to remind myself of things, and I'll be like, remember to do this, and then I put you dumbass. That's how I text myself.
No, that's for the
Quiet, please.
That's for the swank. The swank. Swanky 32,499 this season. 25 rushing yards per game for the Bears equals 1 cheesy gordita crunch for Greg Braggs. Taco Bell live mas.
Live. Wow, now you're both.
None of us can
that was
read.
a Braggs. My bad.
You pulled a brag.
Live mas.
Taco Bell is awesome.
Okay, that was a fun, productive show. A lot of good conversation that, as usual, went off the rails late. We appreciate all the super chats and the love. You guys are the best. Let's go enjoy some Mai Tais. And Bragg's natural state is a state of confusion. Thank you, Lord Crimson. It's been fun. We'll be back tomorrow. The third cluster, like third day of practice. What do they call them? Clusters?
Day 3 of the cluster.
The cluster. No, that's not the word they're using.
Stacks?
Stack. The stack is over tomorrow.
Stack is back.
My sister's last name is Stack. Oh. She
There
married
you
a
go.
stack.
She married a stack.
She married a stack.
Stack.
The stack ends tomorrow. The third of practices, and then there's an actual game on Saturday. Can't wait. So we'll back tomorrow. We'll be there, of course, at practice. We'll see if things are a little bit cleaner. We'll see if Chase Claypool.
Show's an hour later tomorrow, 4 o'clock.
That's right. I forgot about that. We have some in-house business to take care of tomorrow. So show will be at 4 o'clock in studio, actually, back in our awesome CHGO studios in the West Loop. So we will talk to you then. See you.